Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and I love helping trainers, presenters, workshop facilitators really take their results to the next level. And in today's video, actually, I'm going to speak to a broad audience. I want to speak to the business owners that run workshops. I want to speak to the corporate trainers. And if you're working in the vet sector in Australia, you definitely check out this video as well. But ultimately, one thing that we really need to think about is how are we evaluating our training? How are we actually knowing if it is successful or not? And I've recently been looking at feedback forms. And as many of you would know, if you attend a workshop, whether it's professional development, whether it's corporate training, whether it is whatever it is, you are so often going to get that feedback form at the end of it to fill out, so to speak. Or you may be the kind of person that hands them out and is hoping for a good result, so to speak. The thing is, we need to appreciate that there's value in the form, but also there's the quality of the form or the quality of the data that comes back really relates to the quality of the question we actually ask. And many times when people are filling out that form, they're actually probably going to put in probably like 1 or 2% quality of information into the form because of the nature and the structure of the form and how it's written up, right? So today I wanted to share with you a bit of intellectual IP here, something that I've designed that I've called the Master Trainer Feedback Form, where basically it goes after what you probably really want to know as a master trainer. Because at the end of the day, if they're just ticking boxes and doing smiley face and all that fun stuff, well, really, you can't expect great feedback to come back if the form itself doesn't really elicit that, right? So I'm going to show you a form and you guys can check it out. If you want a copy of it, either make it yourself or just shoot me an email or drop a comment below and I'll send the form to you. And there's many other things you can add to the form, but as I said, the quality of the form will determine the quality of the data you get back. And if you're asking questions that are not so helpful, well, don't expect people to give you great quality answers there. So I'm going to bring up the form. Let's go ahead and we'll go through it and check it out here, folks. So as I said, I've called it the Master Trainer Feedback Form here. So hopefully you can see it on your end. But at the top, as always, we got a place for the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and we're going to probably say that 5 is the strongly agree, and the number 1 is the strongly disagree. But again, you can tailor that to whatever you want there. Naturally, you put a place for the person's name that they're filling it out. I'm not a huge fan on making it possible to be anonymous all of the time, but you could put name optional. Totally fine then, right? But let's zoom in. Let's check out these items a little bit clearer here. So number 1 here I've said is, was the trainer engaging, right? Drop a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and the person can put that in there. Was the training engaging in their delivery? So you can put training or trainer, either is fine there, all right? Number 2, was the information useful? Was the information relevant? All right, because at the end of the day, that's all we really care about. Is what we deliver actually going to be useful and usable for our participants that come along to our workshop there, right? So then, and we want to make sure it's relevant because maybe it's useful, but it's not relevant, right? Good to know. Next one, was the trainer knowledgeable? Was the trainer knowledgeable? Did they know their stuff, so to speak, there? And was everything, was everything presented by the trainer on point? And did they know their stuff? Okay, and did they have kind of relevant experience to share through the process there? Next, number 4, very, very important one that we rarely talk about there was time managed well, or was time well managed, right? Was breaks taken, not taken? Did it start on time, finish on time? Those kind of things, right? Next one, number 5. Did you feel included as part of the session? A lot of times in life, in the world of training, we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, right? So you may want to put in a comment like that. Did you feel included as part of the session? Next one, number 6. Did the trainer answer your question sufficiently? If yes, great. If no, well, bit of a problem there, right? So if all questions were answered well, then they could put a strongly agree on that, right? Now, and I raise this one here because a lot of trainers are actually not fantastic at answering questions or addressing questions that come up, right? The next one is optional section, but would appreciate you taking an extra 90 seconds to answer, right? Let's play to the psychology of the person actually filling it out. because highly likely they're already burnt out by this point or they're ready to get out the door, right? So we want to acknowledge that. We want to say, really appreciate if you could take another 90 seconds, fill this out. We'd love that, right? Now, here's the question. What section of the training did you find most valuable or of most value, right? It's a great question to ask because that's going to tell you where they derive the most value and where they really found content that was really going to solve their problem. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to have a lot of stuff that you get through, but every single person is going to take away one or two things that really is impactful for them. So it's a great opportunity for you to identify that and for them to identify that as well, right? Because if you walk away and go, wow, they got value from that, didn't expect that, you can make sure that you include more of that or whatever you want to do with that information there. Next one is, what would you love further training on in the future? Any topics related to this training or even other training topics that come to mind. This could be a great thing to think about because maybe in the future you could deliver training on those topics as well, or you could drop in referral notes for other companies that may deliver other training, or you could direct people to those things. It just gives you a wider breadth of perspective on where people are at, and then you can even go back to the client that you may be speaking to and mention that there as well, right? So next one is, now here's the thing, folks, we often see on the form, what could we improve or what could be better? And that's okay, but you want to phrase it in the positive so that people don't get overly negative, right? And we also need to train people on how to answer the question. So this last one here is really going to guide people's attention, but in a positive way that gives you data that you can actually walk away and use, right? So what have we got here? What is one thing that we could adjust to make even better next time for you? Be as specific as you like, and we will always take it on reference for the future. And this is where we want to guide people's attention, right? So things that you might choose from could be comments about catering, training room materials, activity, length of course, assessments, PowerPoints, trainer approach, location, any other items that come to mind, right? So we want to also prompt people. We could say something like, for me, it would be even better if, right? And the reason we drop that in is we want to discourage people from getting overly negative or overly critical or overly, just in their own mud, so to speak, and they just, want to rant it out. Well, ranting is fine, but if there's no value or if there's no positive aspect and actual supportive comments, then there's not really that much value. We want to allow people an opportunity to share, but there's no real value in just a page of complaints. And we want to encourage people, all right, have your complaints, but be constructive in how you deliver it, right? So this model is going to give you data that you can actually work with, right? And they may say nothing, or they may say, yep, for me, I didn't really like the donuts, or for me, the location was a little bit far, whatever it may be. But here's the thing, folks, you can read through it, and as a trainer, you can actually identify very quickly, is it something in your control or not? All right. And if it's not in your control, then you can go, all right, cool, I'll park that. But if it is in my control, then I'll definitely take that on board, or at least think about it going forward for your next presentation. Because maybe in the PowerPoints they say, maybe they make a comment about PowerPoints and they say, oh, the colors didn't work for me, or the font was too small, whatever it may be. A trainer approach. Maybe they didn't like something you said or how you said it, whatever. This gives you them guidance on how they can answer this question here. All right. Because at the end of the day, if you say, how can we improve? They could come in with an encyclopedia. But if you can tell them what specifically to think about as they answer the question, you're going to get a lot more usable data there. Right? Then we're coming down. We've got a thank you phrase. Thank you so much, and we thank you for choosing XYZ company to be of service to you. All right. So again, just to recap, let's come back to the video here for a second. The feedback form itself, we need to appreciate that if it's too generic, it's not going to give you data. And the way that you phrase the questions is going to actually impact or reflect the quality of the data you get back, or what you get back, full stop, right? So if you say, how can we improve, or, what's one thing we can do better, or something like that, or make it, negative, 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 then you may get a lot of negative, right? And it's all up to you, right? So you want to be looking at the data you're getting and going, okay, is it the form itself, or is it the people filling it out, or is it even paper-based or online better? What do we think? Let's experiment. Let's check out which modality gives us better data to actually work with, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to know, is it just everyone loved you because you're an amazing person, or did they love you because the training was actually great? They got value from it. They walked away and used it, and you can have future check-in forms as well. So maybe you have another feedback form that you deliver or you send to people like a month in the future, or 2 months in the future, or 3 months, right? And that's where you would come back and you would say, all right, based on the training that you went through 1 month ago, what was one thing that you have implemented so far and got value from, and how has that helped you out, right? So those kind of check-in feedback forms are really, really powerful, and definitely something that we encourage everyone to start using as well, so that you can gather higher levels of feedback and more longitudinal feedback. That kind of makes sense there. On that note, folks, hope you got some value from the form, and maybe it's not exactly what you like or what you want to use, but maybe there's some thoughts as I've gone through that that's kind of sparked some other thoughts for you and how you can maybe tweak the current forms that you are using there. On that note, thanks for watching the video, team, and we'll see you on the next one.